come on. Get up and fight, you shivering junkyard. Put your hands up, you lopsided bag of hay.
Now, that's getting personal, Lion.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of Digital Fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is going back to something that we did during Thunder Junction Standard, which was kind of insane, and now we have even more gas for the deck. This one's called Cowardly Lion because we're using the new Norin Swift Survivor card and getting absolutely insane value off of it and tons of play from exile effects with pretty much every single play from exile payoff that we have available to us in standard. This is a 4-color deck. We somehow make it work with some really crazy specific deck building and nuance in how we use the colors and how and what lands we use, and we make it work just right so that it's actually super consistent even though it's 4 colors. This is kind of a legendary deck, but kind of not. Definitely an exile deck, and it's absolutely insane. You guys are going to lose your minds when you see the amount of value that we can get from this deck, the amount of ridiculous board states that just hit the ground running and take over the game. And even against Control, we managed to just keep being swept and keep recovering and keep being swept and keep recovering. And Control just can't even keep up with our value, which is absolutely insane. Now, before we break down the deck, make sure you like the video if you haven't already, because it's you guys liking the videos that helps the video get out to so many more people. Without that, this channel wouldn't grow, wouldn't be anywhere. So to you guys that have been liking the videos every time, thank you so much. It honestly means so much. I can't even express it with words. Smash the like button. Help me out. Thank you so much. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. Tons of crazy deck techs on the way. A couple of special videos as well that I'm not ready to talk about, but there's a lot brewing with the channel, so look forward to that. And also catch me live every Monday through Friday over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/quarantinecapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. This video has been brought to you by Wonders of the First, but I'll tell you about that later. Let's break down the deck. Another day, another deck, and this time we're revisiting a concept that I developed during Outlaws of Thunder Junction Standard Season, where we're utilizing 4 colors and playing everything from exile and going as wide as possible with as many different benefits from playing things from exile. And the reason I'm going back to this deck and updating it now is because we have 3 new cards that really impact this type of deck right now. That I'm really excited to use and to dive into. So first of all, let's talk about the payoffs that we have for exile, and then we'll talk about the new cards, and then we'll get to everything else. So we've got 3 Kellan the Kid, 3/3 flying lifelink for 3. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you may cast a permanent spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. And if you don't, you can put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So as we are playing things from exile constantly over and over and over, we get to actually play stuff from our hand for free as well and just get insane value off Kellan. We're also able to play Rocco Street Chef here, so every time we play something from exile with Rocco on the board, we're able to put a +1/+1 counter on one of our creatures and create a food token, which can be really good against aggro. Just buff out our life total to an insane degree sometimes if we have enough mana to just crack them all. But also we get value off of Rocco when they play things from exile as well, which is really nice. We've also got Pia Nalaar, 3 copies of this, 2 mana for a 2/3. Thopters you control have haste. Whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, you make a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. So the more things we play from exile, the more Thopters we start to build up. And since they have haste, sometimes we can just close out the game really quickly with those Thopters as well. We've also got 3 Doc Aurlock, Grizzled Genius. This is a 2/3 for 2, and when it comes down, it allows us to cast spells from our graveyard or from exile for 2 less mana. And also plotting cards from your hand happens to cost 2 less as well. But really we're trying to get that cost reduction off anything we play from exile, because once this deck gets rolling, it's just playing everything from exile constantly and making sure all of those cards become 1 or 2 mana spells, and getting rid of sometimes half the cost or even more at times with a Doc Aurlock is insane. It allows us to just domino out, vomit out a whole bunch of stuff from exile and just go insanely wide and take over the board. And then we've also got 2 Quintorius Kand at the top end. Comes down as a 4 loyalty planeswalker for 5 mana, and then every time we cast a spell from exile, he's going to drain the opponent for 2 life, which is nuts. Also lets us -3 to discover for the turn he comes down, so we get another thing we're playing from exile to enable all of our other exile benefits. And once you have multiple exile benefits, just, you know, adding up on the same turn, just all popping off at the same time, the amount of value you get is so insane. We played against some control decks and we're just able to completely outvalue them turn after turn after turn. It didn't matter how many Sunfalls they cast, how many times they swept our board. We kept recovering, kept just playing out so much value because there's just so much to be had with all of the payoffs here. But it's important to note that the base of this deck is in Gruul. We are playing 4 colors. We're playing blue and white as well, in addition to Gruul, but everything that's blue or white is legendary, and it's important to make that distinction because we're running 4 Plaza of Heroes to give us any of our 4 colors for our legendary stuff. So it's important to kind of tilt the rest of the mana base in the direction of our non-legendary colors. So by keeping everything in the deck that's not legendary only green or red, we're allowed to, you know, make all of our other lands that aren't Plaza of Heroes be lands that can make either green or red, so that we have that consistent ability to play our non-legendaries regardless of our Plaza of Heroes. And then the Plaza giving us all 4 colors allows for, you know, those other 2 colors being legendaries to actually make sense and matter. And if you build out your mana bases this way, for 4-color decks where you're using things like this, whether it be legendary creatures with Plaza of Heroes, or maybe you're playing an all humans deck and you're using like Cavern of Souls and naming human, if you keep that kind of idea in mind while you're building out your mana bases, trying to keep everything that can't get whatever color it needs from the certain land, in this case being Plaza of Heroes, keeping them all relegated to 1 or 2 colors so that you can start to tilt the rest of the mana base in that direction and make the deck insanely consistent, way more consistent than any 4-color deck has any right to be. That is pretty crucial. So make sure you're keeping that in mind, not just with decks like this, but with any kind of deck that has a land like this and you're trying to go, you know, 4 or more colors, because that's a really important distinction to make. But we're allowed to actually pop off here, and the deck was super consistent. We didn't have mana problems at all the entire time because of this, and it was pretty wild. But let's talk about the new cards. We've got Norin, Swift Survivalist. This card is insane. 1 mana for a 2/1 legendary creature, human coward. It's kind of where the name of the deck comes from. He can't block, but whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may exile it. You may play that card from exile this turn. So not only does this allow our entire team to swing in without worrying about anything dying, because whatever they block that they're going to kill, we just exile and replay. But then all of those creatures that we're exiling and replaying are getting all of the value that I just laid out for you with all of the different payoffs for playing things from exile. So not only do they not kill our thing if they block it, they let us recast it and get even more value and just go insanely wide with value. Norin can be absolutely nuts as long as you have the mana you need to back him up, and he's insane in this deck. In addition, we have 4 other 1-drops. We're playing 4 copies of Clockwork Percussionist, which is a new card. 1/1 haste for 1 red mana. It's not legendary or anything like that, but when it dies, we get to exile the top card of our library and play it until the end of our next turn. Not only is this something that's really cheap that we can exile and then play from exile for just 1 mana to trigger all of our exile stuff, but then we can chump block with it, or whatever the case may be, and then get more gas to play from exile, which is really important. So even if this guy is just coming down and being a chump blocker, he's a really good addition to the deck. Sometimes you can just be really aggressive with him, play him on turn 1, get in for some damage, and maybe drop our other new card to increase that damage. That other new card being Painter's Studio and Defaced Gallery. So Painter's Studio for 3 mana, 1 red and 2. When you unlock that door, you exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them until the end of your next turn. So this is a way to get even more gas, especially a little bit later in the game after we have our payoff set up and we have a lot more mana. We can actually utilize Painter's Studio to a much greater degree, but we do have until the end of our next turn to play those cards. So no matter what, we're going to be able to untap and have an entire turn cycle where we get access to playing those cards from exile to trigger all of our exile triggers. But what's also great about Painter Studio is it comes with Defaced Gallery on the other side. So for 1 red and 1, it comes down as an enchantment, and then whenever you attack, attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So a lot of times, if you're starting to be really aggressive in the early game with Norin or Clockwork Percussionist, maybe following that up with a P and Nalaar, you can drop an early Defaced Gallery and start to get in for exponentially more damage, and then wait until later when you have enough mana to really get the maximum value out of Painter Studio, and then unlock the Painter Studio. So kind of has double functions in this deck, and I really love it. So we're running 3 copies of that. But going back to the bottom of the curve, let's talk about all of the other ways that we're synergizing with playing things from exile. So we've got 2 Kellan Daring Traveler, because most of the creatures in this deck, most of the cards in this deck really are creatures that cost 3 or less. So if we get him onto the battlefield and get to play, get to swing with him, we get to, rip a card off the top. And if it's a creature that costs 3 or less, which most of the cards in the deck are, we get to just put it into our hand. So it lets us gas up on more of the things that we want to be playing. But most importantly, it's got an adventure attached. So for just 1 mana, we can cast this, make 1 or 2 map tokens, and then have it sitting there in exile so that once we get some of our payoffs out, we can then play this from exile and get all of that value. And the fact that it's legendary does matter, because again, it plays into the Plaza of Heroes, and there's another legendary payoff we have. In fact, let's jump the gun a little bit and talk about that right now. We have 3 copies of Kellan Joins Up. 3 mana for a legendary enchantment, and yes, even though it's an enchantment, it is legendary, so we can use Plaza of Heroes to get whatever color we're missing for this to play it on 3. When we play it, we get to plot a non-land card with mana value 3 or less from our hand. So not only do we get to play it for free the next turn, but it counts as playing that thing from exile, which will be really, really good in this deck. And then also, whenever a legendary creature you control enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on every creature you control. So not only are we going wide with P and Nalaar's Thopter tokens, and just all of the crazy creatures we're playing in general, but then as we start to play our legendaries, it starts to buff up our entire board because of Kellan Joins Up. This card just kind of does everything we want. And being able to put a +1/+1 counter on everything by playing like a 1 mana Norin is sometimes kind of nuts. So yeah, that's really, really good. So buffs up our team. It lets us plot something so that we can play it for free next turn. It lets us cast more things from exile. It just does everything we want and conveniently gets whatever mana it needs from the Plaza of Heroes since it's legendary. So we're running 3 copies of those. But let's back it up. We already went over the 2 copies of Kellan Daring Traveler. We've got 3 Bramble Familiars, because if you get it early, you can play it as a mana dork that can ramp you into your value. But if you get it a little bit later, you can actually plot this with the Kellan Joins Up that we were just talking about, because it technically counts as a 2 mana spell. So you plot it with Kellan Joins Up because it costs mana value 3 or less, and then the next turn you get to play it for free. But when you play it for free, you don't have to just play the 2 mana creature side. You can actually play the 7 mana fetch quest side, which allows you to mill 7 cards and then put any creature, enchantment, or land from among them onto the battlefield. This lets us get an insane amount of value playing essentially a 7 mana spell for free, and then also still leaving behind the Bramble Familiar in exile to get another spell played from exile to get even more value off all of our, played from exile payoffs. So Bramble Familiar can be absolutely insane with Kellan Joins Up. It's also nuts with another card that we can't play until turn 4, but is another 2-drop, and that's Jace Reawakened. Comes down for 2 mana, can get its blue mana from the Plaza of Heroes if we need to. You can uptick to draw a card and discard a card if you're desperate. +1, you may exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your hand. If you do, it becomes plotted. So this lets us every single turn plot something from our hand that we then get to cast for free the next turn and trigger all of our exile payoffs. So not only is this insane for just getting us even more value, but it lets us have things sitting there, plotted, waiting in exile at any given time, so that if our opponent sweeps, we've always got a ton of value that we can sort of recover with and get onto the field. And then also if we get to 6 loyalty, we can -6, and until end of turn, whenever we cast a spell, we copy it, any spell at all, which can get really, really nutty with all of our exile payoffs and just how insanely wide the board can get. You'll see when we get to the games, the board gets pretty nutty, but 2 copies of Jace Reawakened here I think is just the right amount. We're also running 4 copies of Questing Druid. Card's just too good to run anything less. So for 2 mana, we can seek the beast at instant speed. You're normally going to want to do this at the end of your opponent's turn. Exile the top 2 cards of your library, and until your next end step, you may play those cards. So then you can untap, start playing things from exile, getting all of your triggers. It can be absolutely nutty. And then also this can come down from exile and be another thing we play from exile as the Questing Druid, which then starts to get +1/+1 counters every single time you cast a spell that is any color other than green. And it counts if you cast a multicolored spell that also has green. As long as it has any other color in the casting cost at all, you're going to get a counter on the Druid. So the only thing in the entire deck that can't trigger the Druid is the Druid itself, which, if you get a second Druid, at least Seek the Beast will still put a counter on the first Druid. And then also the Bramble Familiar. But the Bramble Familiar is just so good, we're still going to run it no matter what. But every single other card in the entire deck is putting counters on Questing Druid, and a lot of times you can get into a scenario where you're seeking the beast and finding 2 cards to play from exile, and then you can play those 2 cards after playing the Questing Druid, so you get more counters, and all of them can come out on the same turn because you have 𝐷𝑒𝑐𝑘𝑠 out, and all of them cost so little amounts of mana to just jam onto the field, and it just starts to spiral out of control and gets really, really crazy. And that's the deck. It's pretty nuts. When you have everything popping off at the same time, you're draining with Quint, you're getting +1/+1 counters and food tokens with Rocco, your entire team is getting +1/+1 counters because of Kellan Joins Up, Kellan the Kid's allowing you to put extra things into play from your hand for free to go even wider, Nalaar is just shooting off Thopters left and right, and everything's coming out at 2 or 3 times as much as they could normally because you have Aurlock giving everything cost reduction. It just gets absolutely crazy. But now that we have these new cards that are so cheap and allow us to start really going wide on the board so much sooner and getting us value so much sooner, I really think it helps make the deck that much more consistent, and the value here is nuts. Now, the last thing I want to mention before we get to the games, we are getting to the games, and the games are nutty, so definitely stick around for that. But the mana base is very specific. Like I mentioned before, we're tilting towards red and green with literally everything that isn't Plaza of Heroes, but we're also trying to have as many untapped lands as possible so that we can just out-tempo our opponent and just keep playing everything and never have to worry about tapped lands. That being said, we are playing 3 𝐸𝑚𝑑𝑎𝑟𝑟𝑎𝑐ℎ 𝐿𝑒 because they can come in as a land of any color, and we needed that consistency. We needed that extra way of making a land of any 4 colors just to get the mana consistency to where we need it. But that being said, 𝐸𝑚𝑑𝑎𝑟𝑟𝑎𝑐ℎ 𝐿𝑒 is really the only lands that have to come into play tapped, without being under some sort of condition. And then we also have 2 Thran Portals, because it can be whatever color we want. It'll come into play untapped if it's the first 3 turns, the first 3 lands we play. It is going to ping us every time we use it for lands, so we don't want to go overboard with these. But having 1 or 2 in the deck, I think, is nice, and it does help us just get the numbers up that we need to consistently make sure we have all 4 colors for everything we need to play. The rest of the mana base is in the description, so check it all out if you're interested. The mana base is very, very specific. I know I've said that a couple times already, but you really need the mana base to get to exactly where it's at to make this deck be consistent at four colors. So don't take the mana base for granted. Make sure the mana base is very specific. We don't have room for any basics or anything, which can be a detriment at times, but it's worth the risk because the consistency is just insane. The power level is just insane, and the staying power is absolutely there even against control. We're gonna prove that in the game. So without further ado, let's check them out. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Wonders of the First. Wonders of the First is a brand new collectible card game similar to games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, featuring a unique action-based resource economy that helps avoid pitfalls like Mana Flood or Mana Screw, and a battlefield containing multiple realms that unlock over time as you fight for control of the stones. The first 400 card set is called Existence and will launch to retail in the fall, but playtest team starter kits are available to order now. And they haven't forgotten about all you collectors out there. The game contains alternate borderless art variants, as well as highly sought after limited edition numbered prints, culminating in a 1-of-1 stone foil. And the best part is that the developers have a community first approach, with 8 print and play decks available on their website, as well as a version of the game available on Tabletop Simulator, all for free. For more information, be sure to check out wondersccg.com today. That's wondersccg.com. I think we can make this work. We are going to try. We'll keep 7. We can Percussionist on 1, Dock Aurlock on 2. That kind of seems okay. That kind of seems okay. White. Huh? White. Alright, well. Dock Aurlock comes down. Swing 1. Let's see what we can do next turn. Does he play a blocker? That's the question. No. He's gonna Parting Gust my Dock Aurlock, which is honestly completely fine. We're gonna play the Defaced Gallery and the Norin. Swing for 4. Seems pretty strong. Alright, I think we play the Percussionist, hold up Seek the Beast. We'll swing for 9. Get lost, my Defaced Gallery. Okay. That's rad. We'll keep the map tokens for now. Swing for 5, put him at 9. End the turn. Hold up Seek the Beast. We're looking for green. Or a green legendary. Either or, really. Alright, Seek the Beast. We've got stuff. Alright, we're gonna plot you. We're gonna play you. We're gonna play you. Let's see. Probably should have waited to plot so we could activate Norin's ability. But we'll let some stuff die. It's fine. We'll get access to some value next turn. Which one is that? Decline. Decline. And take action. Shouldn't have played the Gorge. I could have played the Forest and then played the Percussionist and saved it. But just trying to get used to this deck and the different play lines. It's a little tricky. Wait as long as possible to play things in case you end up exiling things that you want to play instead. Especially in the case of lands. But I mean, we already have the value off the Jace. And now he has a tapped blocker. So we're going to do this first. Then we're going to fetch quest for free. Put something onto the battlefield. We could go Pia. We could go Kellan Joins Up. I think Pia is probably better. Play the land. Opponent is trying to make decisions. Alright, we'll play Defaced Gallery. And we could make a bunch of map tokens. I think it's better to crack a map token here. Put it on something we don't mind losing as much. Gets lost the Defaced Gallery, sure. We'll keep the Rocco. We'll swing for 4. Put him at 8. Pass the turn. Is there a Sunfall in my future? There is! Would you look at that? Would you look at that? Alright, we're gonna go Rocco. Bramble Familiar. Get a counter. And a food token. Alright, we got ourselves a Questing Druid. Let's see what he does. Start building up the never-ending value again. Definitely want to split the power in case he has spot removal. Come on, Rocco. Rocco's Modern Life. Seek the Beast. Counter on the Bramble Familiar. We'll make a food. Let's see, we got another Rocco. And a Doc Aurlock, so... I guess we go... Doc. And then I think we'll hold up Seek the Beast again. We will attack with the Rocco, though. Make him block. He thinks we got a trick. Successful bluff. And the turn. Goodbye, Rocco. Let's exile some more stuff. We got a land. He's got a land. Do you have another Sunfall, sir? Doubtful. You just turn that into a 6/6. Put a counter on the dock Aurlock. Again, spread the wealth. It's gonna get lost it. Sure. Not super concerned about that. Come on, Circa. Come on, Circa. Show me. Exorcise the demon. Yeah, that's fine. Gonna hold up the 6/6, huh? Alright, so we will seek the beast here. Oh boy. Oh boy. Got ourselves a Quint. Three get lost, so he probably doesn't have removal for it, which means I think we can take a chance here and try and get out our Questing Druid first. Drain for 2. And then we'll discover. Drain for 2 again. Get the dock Aurlock out. Get a counter on the Questing Druid. And now we've got 2 chump blockers. He's down to 4. Pass the turn and see if he has another Sunfall. We just never run out of value. Just never, ever, ever run out of value. Just never, ever, ever run out of value. Archangel 𝐿𝑒𝑔𝑒𝑚, sure. Carrot cake, sure. Looking kind of rough. Looking kind of rough. Block there. Much, much, much rather keep the Quint. Uptick. We'll play Kellan. So if we play this for free, we don't get to play the Journey on sorcery side of it. Which is a little bit worrisome. So I don't know if we actually want to do that. I think I would rather go... Oh, it used my only white source? Why did it do that? Why did you do that? Oh god. Okay. White. Well, I guess we have mana held up for food or map tokens or whatever. Let's crack a map token. Play the land, crack another map token. Get rid of you. And then we will swing. Put you at 2. Okay, he blocks. That's good. That means he can't reduce the loyalty at all for the Quint. Unless he top decks something. We just have unending value. It's crazy. Come on, Circa. Five. What is that last card in your hand? Jace. Jace is not gonna do it.
Surrender your mind to
Jace is not gonna do it. Get all the triggers. Every single trigger. Put a counter on the Jace. And swing with... No, not the team. Just Kellan. Because we don't want him to block and gain life. And we kill him. Yay! Good game. This one's kind of rough. We don't have any 2-drops. Well, we have Jace, but we can't play Jace on 2, so it's kind of irrelevant that it's a 2-drop. The land is really good, though. So I think we gotta play 𝐸𝑵𝑺𝑨𝑵𝑬 Lair for red to make sure we have a red source for non-legendary stuff. Which means we can't play Kellan Joins Up on turn 3 unless we wait to play the 𝐸𝑵𝑺𝑨𝑵𝑬 Lair. Tricky. Tricky, tricky, tricky. I think we wait on the 𝐸𝑵𝑺𝑨𝑵𝑬 Lair. We'll just go with the Sanctum. Heartfire Hero, sure. Alright, we'll go Plaza, Dock, Aurlock. Can he get rid of the dock? He's thinking. No blocks. inside out, sure. It's expected. Leaves up 1 mana. Very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. Play the Kellan Joins Up. Rocco. So if we play the Rocco first, we'll have red off the plaza to play a Clockwork Percussionist. Give me your worst, Kramer. You got no ley lines, so I think I got a couple turns at least. I think I got a couple turns at least. Emberheart Challenger. Comes in for 4, that's fine. That's fine. Alright, so we're gonna go Jace. Plot Bramble Familiar. Play Rocco. Play Percussionist. Play this for red. Swing for 3. Alright, Rocco triggers. He's got a Monstrous Rage exiled with Rocco. We can just turn Rocco into the biggest blocker ever. So go ahead. Play it. Play it! Do it! Don't just talk about it, be about it. Alright, coming in. We're gonna do it like this. I know he wants to target the Heartfire hero. 6/4, that's fine. He still only hits us for 3 damage. And if he plays anything before Rocco dies, we get to put a counter. So it's a very tricky situation for him. Very tricky. Alright, we exile a card. And then he plays the thing. Another Rocco. Another Rocco. Well, we'll plot it. And then we're gonna go fetch quest. See what we can hit. We have a Rocco. We have a Painter Studio. But we'd have to unlock it. I think we just grab the Rocco. Even though we have one in exile. Start playing out our creatures first. So Bramble Familiar comes down. Norin comes down. Journey on. Kellan. Everything's huge. We swing 6, and we have the biggest blockers known to man. Play the land. Play it. I dare you. Play it. Play it. Do it. Do it. Do it, Kramer. Do it, old maid. Do it. Do it, old maid. Another counter, huh? All right. We're still at 10. Even more insane blocks. Slick shot. Can't block a slick shot, but I mean, slick shot can only do so much. We have 1,000,000 food tokens to crack. She's gonna swing with everything. Okay. I don't mind double blocking there because no matter what, we're going to have lethal next turn if we just survive. So let's not take any chances at all. Alright, Felonious Rage. Sure. We go to 5. And it is lights out. We go to 1. We go to 1, guys. Let's uptick. Draw, discard. Another land. Okay. Spirebluff? Let's just play the Rocco because we can get triggers. And then we'll swing in for 1,000,000. Good game, buddy. Alright, this actually looks pretty good. No 1-drops, but that's fine. We also have no white mana for Pia Nalaar. We do have a Dock Aurlock on 2. So we're going to jam that. And we really need to find white. But we have plenty of white sources, so we should be able to. Hello, Hope. Wonder if Hope is lost. Wah, wah, wah. Well, he's mulliganing. Losing Hope. Mulligan's down to 5. What a world. What a world we live in. Alright, slam the Percussionist. Maybe we play the Defaced Gallery instead now. Nah, we want to get the dock out as soon as possible, right? He'll probably end up using removal on it, but it's fine. No removal. Alright. Plays a Heaped Harvest. Searches for a basic, finds another forest. Interesting. White. Red. White. Pia. Journey on. Swing 3. I think he's playing some kind of crazy ramp deck. Maybe with Doppelgang, or maybe... If you found another forest, probably not. But it's still probably using that one Gruul card, right? I can do a bunch of damage and put a bunch of lands into play. Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Hard cast. That is pretty good. Gorge. So if we play the Rocco, we don't get to trigger P and Nalaar this turn. But we are going to get a whole lot of value later. So I'm kind of tempted to. Don't think we can swing no matter what. Yeah. We're going to play the Rocco. And then just pass the turn. Exile, you got yourself a commercial district. And we've got a land. If he attacks, we just chump with the Percussionist. Gives us more gas next turn. Carnosaur. Okay, so he's just ramping into like Overlord into Carnosaur. Torch the tower. I assume he kills Piet. No, he's going for Dock. Okay. We get to put a counter on the Dock because you played something from exile. So Dock is no longer dead. Dock is no longer dead. Swings. We jump. Get another card exiled that we can play. Oh boy. Oh boy. Seek the Beast. Get our triggers. I think we're just gonna try and pump up Dock big enough to swing past the Carnosaur. I think that's the hope right now. Play the Druid. Play the land. Can we play Jace? We cannot play Jace. We cannot play Jace. We can play the Bramble Familiar for one, though. Start by playing Kellan. Getting all the value ever. Then let's play Bramble Familiar. Get some more value. This time, we'll build up our flyers. Now that we have enough on the Dock Aurlock to survive the Carnosaur. And then we play Norin. Get a counter on the Questing Beast. And then we swing, 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 swing. It's 13. So yeah, we can actually safely swing with everything, and then he has to block the Dock Aurlock, or he's dead. Which seems really, really good to me. Alright. Alright, this seems pretty good. We can name green for Thran Portal, start with a Bramble Elemental, get some ramp out. Let's see what we can do with this. We're going to play the Inspiring Vantage first, and not give away what color we need, so to speak. Alright, Bramble Familiar is out. We might end up just having to seek the Beast. Valiant Veteran, sure. We're going to play Defaced Gallery. And we will pass the turn. We're going to seek the Beast. See what we can do here. Baird, sure. No attacks. Alright, we will seek the beast. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, I guess we're gonna seek the beast again. Alright, we hit some lands. We'll play you. Let's see, we can create map tokens. Or we can just play out the Kellan. That is another thing we can do. Let's just play out the Kellan. Try to get the most value out of our cards here. Still have the 2 Questing Druids in exile. So if we play 𝐷𝑒𝑐𝑘𝑠, each of them will cost 1 mana. Let's see, we've got plenty of red and green. 1 white and 1 blue. I think we need more white. So we'll do that. 2, 1, 2, 1. We'll do this. We'll do this. And we'll do this. Just set up for insanity. No attacks. Go wide, wide, wide. All day wide. Let's see what he has here. Exile my 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟𝑎𝑐ℎ. What a move. What a move. What else you got? Tapping mana, another Valiant Veteran. Swinging in. Being too safe. Well, I think we'll chump block one of them here. That's fine. We'll play Quint. Then we'll play the Druid. Drain for 2. And then we will discover. And let's see what we hit. A Kellan Joins Up. I don't actually think we get to exile the Painter's Studio, which is kind of a bummer, because technically it's 5. Mana value is 5, so no bueno. But I mean, it was free, so I'm not going to complain too much. We are in a bit of a pickle, though, as far as our board state compared to his. He can't attack with the Valiant Veterans, which is nice. Tracking with tokens. We're going to take the 6 and trade with one of them. Seems okay. Alright, so we'll make a dude. We will... Hold on. Tap you, tap you. Make sure and leave as many of my dual lands as possible because we don't really know what we're going to exile with this. Alright, we've got another Doc Aurlock and a Rocco. So, we'll jam the Rocco. Drain for 2. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control, which is pretty strong. And no attacks. We're going to have to shore up our defenses again. Alright, we're in, honestly, a pretty strong spot here. Pretty strong spot. Does he want to play as Siege Veteran? He does. Which means we get to put a counter on something. See, we have a 5/6. Four power on something would be nice. Let's go. Let's put the counter on the Rocco. That makes it really hard for him to attack with the Baird. Alright, Myro. Myro is swinging in, and the Innocence is swinging in. Interesting. Interesting. Wow, okay. He's really going for it. He is really going for it. Here. 3, 7. Here. 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 And he can't have tricks for all of them, right? So I think this actually puts us in a pretty good position. He can only kill one of these. Kills the Dock, which we kind of wanted because we have another one. We get 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟𝑎𝑛𝑐𝑒 back, which triggers the Kellan Joins Up. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Alright, we're going to make another 3/2. Then we're going to play Kellan. Put a +1/+1 counter on this guy. +1 counters on everything. Oh, we don't have the blue, do we? We don't have the blue. Let me think for a second. Yeah, we don't really have a way to make the blue. So I guess... let's move to attackers. Swing with this guy. And I think that's it. Just so we can get the trigger. And hopefully take action. Put that in the graveyard. Unfortunately, it was a land. It was a land. Okay, would he like to trade 2 of his tokens for it? I'm kind of okay with that, to be completely honest. Nope, he's just gonna chump block. Alright, well, we'll play a Clockwork Percussionist. Put another counter on the Druid. It's also worth noting that we've got lifelink on Kellan here, and that could help in a big way. Resolute Reinforcements. Okay, so Doc is gone. We've got a Plaza to play next turn. Archangel Elspeth comes down.
I am a shining blade in the dark.
Sure. Puts its counters on the Siege Veteran.
You've earned my blessing.
Sure. It's not quite enough. It's kind of ballsy. Alright, let's do it. So first of all, Kellan, we want to survive. So you're absolutely gonna block this guy. And then we'll block the biggest guy with the Druid. We'll chump block here. Chump block here. The things we don't care about losing as much, we're going to put in front of the Valiant Veterans, because we still want to kill them. But he's most likely to use a trick to save those. Oh man, he gets through for what? 18 still? Very, very close though. We can get up to 15. Just not enough, I don't think. If we had had a first striker and could kill the Valiant Veteran first, I think we would have been good. Alright, this actually looks pretty good. We'll keep this. Play Shivan Reef, Norin on 1. And then we'll drop the Thicket and Nalaar on 2. And then start trying to just gas up. Oh, we got a Botanical Sanctum. It's not going to really help us do what we want to do, though. So we'll do this. And swing. We now have all of our colors. Charming Scoundrel. Makes a treasure. Doesn't attack. Okay, okay. Do we need another blue, or is it better to have another red? I mean, we would get access to blue need the other red. And then we play Face Gallery. And then we attack. Hit for 6. If he blocks the Norin, we exile it, replay it, and get a 𝐸𝕗𝑒𝑟𝑟𝑎𝑐ℎ. Which is kind of amazing. Bandit, please stop snoring. It's going into my microphone. That pupper. That pupper, he's just too comfortable. He's always snoring in the background. If you guys hear that whistling sound, or kind of sounds like a cross between whistling and a vacuum cleaner, that's Bandit. He just is the most comfortable ever. I don't know what to tell you. Alright, Charming Scoundrel. Sure. Sure. Another Norin. Another Norin. Well, we'll attack with everything. See if he blocks again. This time we'll let it die. Because we have another one. And then we'll hold up 𝐸𝑐𝑒𝐞. And we'll just get all the value in the world, and it will be wonderful. What is this deck? Lightning Strike, Scoundrel, Pickaxe, Bitter Reunion? Well, I suppose. It's got some cards now. Alright, so we will seek the beast. We are, in fact, seeking the beast. Whole lot of value here. I think the best way to do this, as much as I want to play that Percussionist, I think we play the lair, name white, play Questing Druid, play Defaced Gallery, get a counter on the Questing Druid, and then swing with our boys for 7. Crazy. Bounty Hunter BC plays a Bone Horde 𝐸𝑚𝑐𝑒 𝑅𝑎𝑐ℎ. What a card. What a card. We're going to play this. Yeah, we swing with everything and we win, right? I was trying to decide if I wanted to swing with the Questing Druid. But we get the buffs. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck techs, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.